Yeah, I like a lot the analogy to user experience. So that I think I find it interesting to start with Quentin telling us that we should do open source and really make the difference between open source and open products. Because I think to some extent what he means is that maybe the user experience is so well, the user experience is in the products and not in the common layers. But I like also your point that in some of the projects we can likely do better in promoting them and in thinking about the users. I often use the analogy that every project should be ready for the 15 minutes test. Is that if somebody downloads your project and then they are not able to do something useful in the first 15 minutes, then they are too frustrated and they will not come back anyway. So yeah, user experience. And maybe being more expensive. So that's a problem for open source. That zero is a very good price, but not a very expensive price. So okay, so yeah, just a few words to finish. Yeah, we there was something that was mentioned, and Adrian, I will just put that slide and a few ones later. It's the Eclipse Data Space Working Group. So it was mentioned, and also by Brian, like okay, it's pretty successful these days. So today, GaiaX AISBL is joining the Eclipse Data Space Working Group as a strategic member. And what we do in the Data Space Working Group is really working on the protocol specification, standardization, etc. And working on all the interoperable layers with the goal to define, document and standardize the protocols needed to get data spaces interoperate, up to pushing the specs to ISO IEC. And at some point there was a conversation this afternoon about open standards and open source. So that's you were mentioning that 5 minutes ago. And what I like in comparing open standards and open source is that I think that when you have an open standard and you produce an open source implementation, it's like standardization on steroids, because you have something that you move from, okay, I have a spec, I have a document that tells me how it's supposed to work, to, hey, I have something that runs and I can test against this implementation. So I think that we are much stronger in our open source ecosystem when we push something for standardization, because by design, we produce standards that run. And that's how I think that's also one of the reasons why IETF and the W3C have been so successful in changing our lives for the last 30 years. It's really because, well, it's not just paperwork. It's really open source. It's really running software. So I think with Expense and other projects, we also want to do something like that. So yeah, that's some examples. So the data space protocol is coming from IDSA to the data space working group. GaiaX will push in the coming days the trust framework and to the data space working group, and that's two specifications that will go through being discussed in the open and then move to be standardized on the fast track with ISO IEC. And in terms of membership, so I didn't have the GaiaX logo yet, but we have an interesting mix of associations, research institutions, industry players, and yeah, and software vendors. So that's a pretty. We started that only 5 months ago. So that's really progressing fast. And well, so that's all on the data space working group. And just as a conclusion, the study. So we will send you the link to download the study in an email after the event. I think that it was released almost a year ago, exactly, and I think that it's still very valid and supports everything that has been said today. So yeah, just go download it, read it, and that's it. I think that's it for all the listening and exchanging on the content. I think that next part now is really free, as in free beer. And even if it was discussed at the beginning by Quentin that we should not do that, I think there is still merits to have beer and wine and water and soda too, no problem. But just having a moment to exchange, to mingle, and to get to know each other. I think we have lots of questions for the presenters, and also lots of interesting topics to discuss together. But I think you have been seated for long enough, and that we can just all say thank you to all the speakers. Thanks to all of you for joining us this afternoon. Thanks for the sun to be there, but hidden a bit now. And again, thanks to Huawei for sponsoring this workshop this afternoon. We will likely do something similar next year for KubeCon Europe, I guess. That's we have this opportunity to have some side event like that, and I think that's an interesting opportunity. And so stay tuned, and thanks everybody.